Hi everyone, I'm Robert Shingleton, and I'm currently in the social work program. But today I'll be presenting on religion, spirituality in social work practice. I chose this topic because spirituality is often overlooked in professional settings, even though it plays a major role in how people cope, make meaning, and connect with others. As social workers, we are trained to look at the whole person, including biological, psychological, social, and spiritual dimensions. But this presentation is designed like an in service training. So, my goal is to provide practical, real world insight you can apply in practice. I will focus on strengths based and ethical approach, including how spirituality supports resilience, how it has been shaped by history and oppression, and how we can integrate it into practice without imposing our own beliefs. Spirituality is the cornerstone of our lives because it shapes who we are, how we relate to others, and how we make meaning of challenges. It gives us direction, a sense of moral compass, and an internal sense of purpose. But in social work, understanding spirituality is essential, but not to impose belief, but to recognize how it supports resilience, coping, and overall well being. Most individuals identify with some form of spirituality or religion, making it a key part of culturally competent care. So today, I'll walk through how spirituality functions as a protective factor, how it has been shaped by history and oppression, and how we can integrate it ethically into our social work practices. Spirituality matters in social work. Our beliefs and spiritual practices are deeply connected to how we interpret our experiences. What we think influences our emotions, and our emotions influence our behaviors. Spirituality provides a framework for understanding suffering, grief, and moral decision making. For many clients, their faith shapes their coping strategies, relationships, and life's priorities. But as social workers, recognizing this helps us better understand the client's worldview and how they make meaning of their experiences. The biopsychosocial spiritual model really reminds us that people are more than diagnoses or behaviors. Biological factors include the brain and stress response. Psychological includes thoughts and emotions. Social includes relationship and environment, while spiritual includes meaning, purpose, and values. But these areas are interconnected. For example, spiritual practices like service or ritual can activate reward pathways in the brain and reinforce positive habits and emotional resilience. So, if we ignore spirituality, we really risk doing an incomplete assessment. Spirituality helps guide action and intention. Principles like beginning with the end in mind align with faith based ideas like thinking celestially. The idea of purpose, morality, and accountability are built through places like religious and spiritual practices. But practices like service, prayer, or helping others really reinforce positive habits and pro social behaviors. Over time, these repeated actions strengthen emotional regulation, relationships, and long term personal growth. Here, we can see a scripture written that really focuses on service and helping your fellow man. And we have spirituality is not just personal, it is relational and often built within the community. Religious communities provide structure, mentorship, and shared values. The mentors help guide ethical development and reinforce purpose, will help building and shaping that moral compass. And music, hymns, and shared practices influence emotion and focus. Spiritual identity is also shaped by cultural, history, and lived experiences, making it an important part of intersectionality. Throughout history, religion and spirituality have been viewed in both positive and negative ways. Some groups have been stereotyped as extreme or uneducated, while others have faced discrimination. In the United States, this includes things like anti Semitism, anti LDS, or things like the Mormon Extermination Order, and the suppression of indigenous spiritual practices through boarding schools. At the same time, spiritual communities have also led movements for civil rights and social justice. Understanding this dual role is critical for social workers to avoid bias and provide ethical, culturally responsive care. Music and vibration are really powerful tools, especially for emotional and physiological regulation. Practices like singing, chanting, church hymn, or rhythms can also slow heart rate while reducing stress and improve mood. When done in a group, they also foster belonging and connection. But from a trauma informed perspective, these practices help regulate the nervous system and support healing. Mentorship within religious and spiritual communities play a key role in development. Mentors provide guidance, accountability, and support, especially for youth or individuals facing adversity. These relationships really act as a protective factor, helping individuals build resilience and navigate life's challenges. Spiritual mentorship allow mentors to teach values via service and scriptures, while spirituality provides long-term purpose. The community and rituals reinforce ethical directions and promote pro-social behavior and accountability. Here we can see that spirituality, music, and community together provide powerful coping strategies. Rituals and shared practices regulate stress, while the communities provide emotional support. These systems reduce isolation and strengthen resilience, which is really essential for long term well being purpose. Historically, spiritual communities were central to social support systems because they provided food, shelter, education, and care long before modern social services ever existed. This highlights how spirituality has long been tied to survival, resilience, and community strength. Today, spiritual communities continue to support individuals through food pantries, shelters, recovery programs, and mentorships. Social workers can collaborate with these organizations to connect clients to culturally relevant resources and strengthen support systems. Here we see how modern spiritual communities are influenced through volunteer programs, food pantries and support groups, music programs for mental health, mentorships, and moral guidance that's embedded in their own communities, while faith based organizations partner with social services. Social workers use spiritual assessment to understand the client's beliefs, coping strategies, and their support systems. This must be done ethically and respectfully. The National Association of Social Workers Code of Ethics, or NASW, emphasizes clients' self determination and cultural competence. This means that we support the client's beliefs without imposing our own, while remaining aware of our own personal biases and maintaining professional boundaries. Here we can see some of the things that we have put down. Explore. Explore belief, practices, and coping strategies. Assess. Assess music, ritual, and spiritual engagement. Respect. Have respect for their culture and spiritual diversity. Integrate. Integrate ethical and evidence based interventions. Avoid. Always avoid imposing personal beliefs. This came out of the NASW ethics. Explore. Explore beliefs, practices, and supports. Identify. Identify strengths and potential harm. Maintain. Maintain client's autonomy. Also highlighted in the NASW. Here we see that spirituality provides a moral framework that influences behaviors, decision making, and purpose. Rituals, mentorship, and communities reinforce these values. Social workers can help clients identify these strengths and integrate them into their coping strategies in really meaningful ways. Here we have the biopsychosocial spiritual model that integrates all aspects of the human experience. We're going to focus on the spiritual practices that influence our nervous systems biologically, support emotional regulation, psychologically, and strengthen connection socially. Spirituality provides meaning and purpose, completing a holistic understanding of the client. Many indigenous cultures use drumming, chanting, and songs as healing practices. These methods really support emotional regulation and build community connections. As social workers, it is important to approach these practices with cultural humility, respecting their meaning and avoiding appropriation. We see that cultural and indigenous healing is done with vibrations that regulate emotions and energy. And churches today also use these type of emotion regulations through church hymns, etc. For example, a client might use slow, meditative music combined with deep breathing. This can lower stress hormones and improve emotional regulation. So, integrating these personalized coping tools helps strengthen resilience and support long term well being. Now, all clients aren't the same. Some clients might find these slow, meditative musics as not calming. So, we really need to understand where the client is and what type of services they really need personalized to their benefits. Now, music is a universal spiritual practice, whether through gospel, chanting, or meditation. It promotes emotional release, reflection, and builds connection. These practices help individuals build meaning, purpose, and resilience. And we see that spiritual practice, it says relaxing sounds. Now, some clients might not find the same sounds relaxing as others might be. Some might like rain or wind. Some might want birds chirping, while others might find that annoying. So it's important to not put our own biases and understanding and wants and keep our practice really client focused and on things that might just help them. And music has a direct impact on the nervous system. Slow, calming music reduces anxiety, while fast or intense music can increase alertness. Understanding this helps social workers guide clients towards coping strategies that match their needs. Now, coping does occur across physical, mental, and social dimensions as well. Music, rhythm, and group participation strengthen emotional regulation and social connection. Social workers can really help clients build routines that integrate these coping strategies into their daily lives to help them build both physical and mental reframes. Now, different cultures use music and spiritual practices in their own unique ways for healing. Recognizing and respecting these differences really allows social workers to provide culturally responsive and strength based care. We have here some different examples: gospel choir, indigenous drumming circles, meditation chanting. They all demonstrate culturally responsive coping. Now, other consideration implications for social work practice. We see here at a micro level, social workers assess individual beliefs and integrate spirituality into treatment when appropriate. At the meso level, they collaborate with community and faith based organizations, but at a macro level, they advocate for inclusive policies and access to culturally relevant services. And this really highlights the importance of addressing spirituality across all levels of the practice. Other consideration like human rights or social justice. Now, everyone has the right to practice their beliefs and access culturally relevant coping methods. Social workers advocate for religious freedom, reduce discrimination, and support access to community resources. And this aligns with ethical principles of social justice, dignity, and respect for all individuals. Through studying spirituality and practices like music and community connection, my perspective has really expanded. I've come to see spirituality not just as belief, but as a system of coping, identity, and resilience. This has also helped me become more aware of my own biases and the importance of approaching clients with openness, respect, and understanding. We really should attempt to understand before attempting to be understood. So, conclusion, spirituality through community, meaning, and practices like music provides powerful tools for coping, resilience, and moral development. But when integrated ethically, it really allows social workers to support clients in a more holistic and culturally responsive way. So, the key takeaway is that spirituality is not something to overlook, but something to understand, respect, and incorporate appropriately into practice.